Welcome back to the FPL Banter podcast. Myself, Mopey. We're here with Woodie.
Hello.
And Alex.
Hey, how's it going?
Yeah, so we have a lot to discuss this week. It's been 2 weeks, and we're back. Feels like an eternity.
Yeah, it really does. It's been ages. I miss it. Like you wouldn't believe.
So what have you been up to in the time off, Alex, other than your chai tea latte experiences?
I don't know what the big deal is, but the guys keep on giving me grief about having a chai tea latte. Now, I'm not a big coffee drinker, which might be,
By not a big coffee drinker, you mean none at all, right?
Yeah, I can't drink coffee.
but aren't you like Tunisian? I thought it was part of your like religion.
No, that's Turkish, mate. Bit racist.
Well, no.
Wow, no. There's more than two countries. You're like, oh, mate, it's not Tunisia. It must be Turkey. Like,
why are you like this,
Woodie? It could be. What are you talking about? They love a little. When I've been traveling around the world to all of these countries, like Alex, and I've gone to the souks and the markets in Tunisia. They love a bit of coffee.
No, souks, you in a souk. A minute ago, he's telling us he's on a keto diet, but he's in the souk.
Well, this is a while ago, but no, I have been on keto.
What's the keto diet?
Basically, it's you don't eat carbs fundamentally, and then
so it's a lot of meat, a lot of veg, basically. A lot of
meat, veg, and then like you bring up your calories with like cheese and fat and milk and stuff. Like it's all right. Like actually, the diet's fine. Like you can eat a lot of cool stuff. You just have to be careful to pick out things that like have sugar in them, basically, which is the tricky thing when you're out.
Do you know? I remember a time when I used to go to the pub with my two mates. We'd have bloody lager, that kind of thing. Now it's chai tea lattes and keto.
Yeah, I know, mate. It's no coffees, no booze. Yeah. I mean, you can have booze, but I couldn't have a Scotch egg. Scotch egg caught me out the other day because of the breadcrumbs. I was like,
it caught you out. As in,
you were surprised that there was calories in there.
I thought he was about to bite into it. He's like, "Whoa!" Someone slapped it out of his hand.
It's like, don't touch it.
What are you doing?
Yeah, the keto coaches, they come around and check.
Are Scotch eggs still a thing?
It is. I think it is. They've got posh Scotch eggs now as well.
It was posh. It was at an afternoon tea, and then there was these little Scotch eggs, and I was like, "Oh, I'll have one of them." And then I googled it, and it's like, "No, I can't have one of them."
What has COVID done to us all? Do you know what I mean?
I cut it in half, and I scooped out the egg and a bit of the meat.
You know what? He's not actually kidding. He would actually scoop out the egg. That's the type of guy he is.
I actually didn't do that. That was too. I wanted to, but that'd be too far.
Okay.
Did you get any cravings, or like how long did it take you to kind of get over the kind of first initial part of the diet? Because usually it says it usually takes a week or two maybe to just kind of get rid of everything. Was that difficult, or was it okay?
Yeah, first couple of weeks were sugar cravings. It was like the missus had like a big dirty fried rice, and I was like, I'd kill for some of that dirty fried rice. And like cookies and stuff. But now it's been like 6 weeks or 5 weeks. So actually,
I'm wondering if the missus would appreciate her lovely fried rice being referred to as dirty fried rice.
Well, yeah. I mean, I
called away in the kitchen for hours. Dirty.
I called it. No, just take away, mate. She ain't gonna slave away. She didn't slave away. What are you talking about? She didn't cook it. She just ate it.
Okay.
Anyway,
have you lost very quickly? Have you lost any weight?
Like 4 kilos.
Nice, man. Good stuff.
I mean, granted, a lot of that at first is like water weight and other bits and bobs that sort of come out of your system and stuff. But I'm looking good. Like I've got abs again for the first time.
Again. I've known this guy for like 10 years coming up to now. Again. I don't know when the last time you had abs was, but
I had abs in Adelaide. I had abs since we came to Hong Kong. That's when I lost the abs. But
should we move on to? Should we move on to fantasy
FPL? Shall we get on to our FPL, our game week, last game week, which admittedly was a long time ago. But we came in with a very respectable 68 points, and that was with an average of 25.
I mean, you'd expect that, though, presumably because of so many the blank game weeks and the fact that we kind of have a wild card every week kind of thing. So, yes. 68 is good. 68 is good.
I imagine most people that played a free hit or a wild card did similarly.
I think the Trossard pick was the one that got us the real differential there. You know?
Yeah. So I think the bulk of the team, most people would have gone for. your Rafinhas, your Lingards, your Kanes. But yeah, the
Cresswell popping up with
bit...
0. Cresswell cropping up with
0.
But
we've discussed this, and we know why. It's because Eric's bought him in his private team, his personal team. So he's.
I do have a knack of like killing players. So for all those wondering out there, I'm considering getting KDB next week, so might be a good time to get rid.
Yeah, well, I'm thinking of it now because I kind of have to.
Yeah. And Woodie's the type of guy who's too attached to KDB. It's like his love child. He's just kind of like, don't touch KDB. He's my player. Oh.
Yeah, because I've been banging his drum all season, and you've been like, mate, why are you sticking with him? He's rubbish. I was like, I'll tell you, he'll come good. And now everyone's like, oh, you're on the KDB train.
Like, when he comes good. Well, yeah, that makes sense. That's how you're supposed to play, right? You're not going to keep...
Who's the mug who had him when he was bad with the whole...
I find it frustrating.
Well, anyway, so our standout players, Trossard, 14 points. We captained Rafinha, which was a bit out there, but turns out it was a good shout. Although it could have been better with Lingard coming in with 12 points as well. Shout out to Wits, by the way, for captaining him. And Kane coming in with the goods. Antonio. I mean, it was quite predictable. I just think in the back, Reguilon, as you mentioned, Cresser, 0 points. Dallas, 2 points, but disappointing. Martinez, 1 point. I mean, does he? I thought that guy only hauls. Apparently not.
No, well, I mean, it was a tricky one. Like, Villa have been off the pace a little bit, and it was Spurs who, well, actually, to be fair, have also been off the pace. So it was kind of a weird game, that one, though. But did we leave any points on the bench? I think we did, didn't we?
Well, that was another thing. It was Bale.
Bale.
I think at this point, a lot of people, especially if you brought him in, especially for the week, with a points hit to get 0, I mean, that's painful.
Yeah, thanks, mate. Thanks for pointing that out. Yeah, no, I have to say, in my personal team, I completely mishandled the strategy for this game week and the week before, where I got rid of Trent to bring in Bale with a 4-point and Dan Burn with a 4-point hit. So Trent got a 9, which I dropped him for, and then Bale and Burn both got 0s, and it cost me 4 points.
Devastating.
Honestly.
I mean, but Woody, honestly, just as a thing, looking back at that, think about the punt, right? Bale was never nailed, and nor was Burn.
Well, that shows your lack of knowledge, because Burn is nailed. Last season he played, I think, every minute of every game.
But last season,
a year ago?
He only doesn't play when he's injured. Burn is nailed, and Bale, you would expect. A lot of people bought Bale. I think he was the most transferred in that week. I think he went up 0.2. So at least I made some money on him. But
it's punty. It's punty.
Why wouldn't you get Kane? You know what I mean? Or Son? Well, you had Son, didn't you? But
I had Son, who didn't play because he was injured. Because I couldn't afford Kane.
But here's a question for you guys. So the fact that the average points was 25, and it means two things in my head: that a lot of people have already used up their free hit, or that they're keeping it for later on for the last 3 game weeks, right?
Yeah, I think a lot of people have used it, haven't they?
Yeah, I mean,
there was a previous one.
Yeah, the previous blank. I mean, it'd be interesting to see, because obviously there's a lot of people who have it. Oh, hello.
Sorry.
That's a welcome message. There's a lot of people who obviously don't really play the game, or they play it for silly reasons, or for building the wealth, or just trying to get the most points. Of all the serious people, that would be the interesting thing to know, of all the people who are actually playing to win, sort of thing. How many of them still have a free hit or a triple captain, etc.
Now, where would we categorize our good friend Tal in that, whether he's serious or not? Because he was serious for a while, but then there was a 16-pointer that came out. and I think he did the numbers, but it was just atrocious because he transferred in loads of players that either got yellow cards or didn't play and so on.
Yeah. Wasn't it? How many points was it? Was it 38 points or something you lost in? 35 points?
Oh, it was bad.
In that one game week? Was it good? Yeah, he is the definition of reacty. But what was weird is he spent all those points to buy in players that we all already have. So it really wouldn't achieve anything. Anyway, going further behind. But no, I think he's still playing seriously. But I don't think he has anything left, right? No. And he has any chips except the wild card.
Yeah, it's difficult when you don't have any chips when it comes to the end. I've still got my wild card. I'm still trying to figure out when's the best time to use it. Do you guys?
You know what though? Are you not getting this kind of wild card anxiety now, where you're like, is there any points in even using it? You're going to use it for 3 transfers? You'll be like, I saved 8 points.
Yeah, well, and maybe that's all it needs. But I mean, personally, for me, I think it will be the last game week of the season where I'll basically just do it and play the best team for that game week. And whether that means a lot of transfers or not, because they're just good at basing off the fixtures and the form and stuff. But I still have...
Wouldn't that mean that you were not sure? I mean, say for example, Leeds stay middle of the table. They don't really need to win, or you're going to focus on the teams that either need to win to avoid relegation or need to win to be in top 4 kind of thing.
Exactly. Yeah. You don't. Last day madness. I mean, what was it when Burnley beat Arsenal 5-2 or something or whatever it was? It's just, you never know what happens.
Why are you going to bring that up? Of all the games,
It's the one that really sticks out in my mind.
Oh, Alex, remember that last game of the season when Newcastle got relegated?
No, I don't think we've ever been relegated on the last day. It was like with 10 games to go.
Halfway through the season.
Exactly. There was no last day madness.
I mean, that is pretty devastating, isn't it? When you get relegated with like 6 games to go, because, statistically you can't get back in the points. I mean, what would you even be playing for? I'd show up late to training. You stop giving a shit, wouldn't you?
Maybe that's you. But I think, and also
professional. Okay.
Don't forget. Depending on the cup results and stuff, there could be more suspended fixtures, and there's already Villa, Everton, and Southampton Palace to thumb back into the fixtures somewhere. So maybe that'll just get lumped into the last game week and just make it a long game week. But
I feel like you're trying to screw over Alex and being like, keep your wildcards to the last week, mate. There might be loads of games rescheduled. I mean, I'm pretty sure you'd know pretty early in advance this game's rescheduled, because it's not like they can just come out of anything like no one.
All I'm saying is, if you're happy with your team, you don't need to make big transfers, then just save it for the last day. Don't use it just because it's there.
Don't get KDB, okay? Just because it's his player, okay?
All right, should we move on to the team?
Team of the week, yeah.
Do we want to mention as well, speaking of the transfers and wildcards and stuff, the interesting fixtures that are coming up over the next couple of game weeks with the double game week for Spurs?
I think we can do that after the team. Just go through the fixtures a little bit. I think it makes sense, no?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I brought it up now, but sure, we can wait.
Well, I think what Woodie's getting at basically is that in game week 32, we have an interesting situation where Spurs have a double game week, and that is leading up to the fact that they are playing in the cup final on the Sunday. So they play on Friday, and then they play again on Wednesday, and then again on the weekend in the cup. So my 2 cents would be that that won't be a true double game week for Spurs, because they'll be resting all of their players because they'll want to win the cup final. So I just don't see much point in loading up on Spurs. But what do you guys reckon?
I mean, honestly, who knows what Jose's thinking? But because they also need to finish 4th, because they want Champions League football, right? And the Carabao Cup only gives you Europa League, which they're probably already going to get anyway. So you might prioritize the league, actually, and just think, the cup's nice to win, but we'll see. I don't know.
That's true.
It could go either way. But the thing is, as well, with Spurs, other than Lloris, Kane, and Son, I mean, those are only three nailed guys. I mean, who else?
Well, Mora has started having a bit more role recently, and he assisted, I think, one of the goals last game week.
Agreed, but he's still rotating, though.
I think he's starting more and more. From memory, if my memory serves me right, I'll have a little check whilst we continue talking. But I think he's starting more often than he was before. I agree. At some point, he wasn't really starting anymore, but I do feel he is starting more and more. And he's played 90 in the last three. Last three game weeks, he's played 90.
Yeah.
So, and then I mean, he's giving him more of a chance. There was a period where he was really not playing at all, and then now he's starting to kind of get back into his zone. So he could be an interesting one. Anyway, I mean, think about it. There's other teams as well in game week 33 that aren't playing, which are obviously City and Spurs, which we've already listed, but there's Fulham.
Have you mentioned what you said to us about Fulham, Alex?
Yeah. No, I think, as I said to the guys, and I think it's worth saying, and I need to point it out very clearly to everyone, best to start getting rid of your Fulham and
he said
Southampton
gradually phasing out.
Gradually phase out all of your Fulham assets.
So all those people who own 3 Fulham players, just start thinking about that now.
Yeah. Well, also Palace. If you've loaded up on Palace for some unknown reason, they're not playing in game week 32. So,
okay.
Just be aware.
Okay. Well, let's get on to this team of the week, shall we?
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. So 100 mil budget, it fits, so you can get it on a wild card. And Woody has very kindly offered to the defense this week.
I have volunteered to do the defense, but which I'm happy to do. I'm happy. Yeah. So I'll just crack on. All right. Yeah. So formation, we're doing a 3-4-3 this week. In goal, we've got Hugo Lloris. We chopped and changed to a bunch of goalkeepers this week because we reckon there's quite a few options for a cleanie. But first we start with Meslier. But as you'll find out later, we actually have too many Leeds players that way because they're playing home to Sheffield United. We flirted a bit with Mondi, which is really weird, but that everyone calls him Mondi. Yeah, for the last decade that Benjamin Mendy has been at City, everyone's just called him Mendy. I mean, I don't know what that's about. But
I mean, I'm sure we've discussed this, but Mendy and like Traore is one of those names. If you're blessed with that surname at birth, you have a sort of 50% chance to be a professional football player. There's just so many of them around.
Well, Traore, yeah.
We went with Lloris because they're away to Newcastle. Even though Wilson's back, baby. Wilson, Fraser, Almiron, they're all back. So I actually think.
So a bit of context here. When we were making this team, Woody was insisting upon the fact that we needed to get load up on Newcastle. I'm aware it's April Fool's Day today, but he was like, boys, time to load up on Newcastle. They're back, baby. And we still don't know if he's kidding or not, but this could be sort of like the punt of the century. I don't know.
I'm not saying I wasn't quite load up. It's not like they're Fulham. No, I was just saying they're more of a threat now that Wilson is back and Fraser. I mean, they're only missing Sam Maximan really from their starting forward lineup. So just, it's not a guaranteed cleaning. But I went Lloris because, it's a good fixture and stuff. And we've got Aspil and Dallas in the three at the back. So as I say, home to West Brom, home to Sheffield United, nailed attacking options as well as likely cleanies. So that sort of covered the three good fixtures this week. You could interchange that, take a bit of a punt with your Alonsos or your Reece James. I think as far as Sheffield Leeds defenders go, Dallas is your best bet. And then finishing off the back three is Luke Shaw, who, although, what travel with England, didn't only play the middle game, played well. So he's in a good vein of form. Home to Brighton, who could be exposed down the right, but a little bit short, as in the Brighton right. So, Luke Shaw could get forward. And he's just been in good form, and there's kind of no reason not to get him. We've covered the other good fixtures. We got, in case Mondi is rested, for as I think the Balaga, and who knows why, but, weirdest things are happening in the two-core tombola. And then on finishing off the bench, first sub is Matty Target, home to Fulham. Again, there's another good fixture. So Martinez at the back, or Cash or Target, still not a bad shout with Fulham still struggling going forward. And then Soufal, who away to Wolves. Wolves have not been scoring a lot, not really conceding a lot, and he's just been pretty solid. And I think he's a good player. He's a good one for the season. So yeah, and that's the D.
Following on from the D. Shall I take mids, Alex?
Yeah, go for it, mate.
Yeah. Okay. So we've already mentioned a love child before. So our first one is Frank Lampard's love child. So Mason Mount. Obviously, having watched all the England games, I can tell you that Mason Mount is a great player.
Eric makes a point of basically not watching any World Cup qualifiers. Basically,
it's kind of my shtick. If there was another Eric, this is how I differentiate myself with him.
But why? I mean,
he thinks they're a waste of time.
But yeah, and they are, because first of all, the players don't really want to play. Secondly, they're playing against ridiculous sides like San Marino and Faroe Islands. No hate, but honestly, let's be honest. Like, it'd be like if us three played against Harry Kane, Jay Links, and someone else. You know what I mean? We'd lose.
Wouldn't you enjoy that? I'd love to watch that game.
I'd love it. I'd be like swapping shirts at halftime and all this.
Yeah.
Mr. Kane.
Mate, there's no such thing as a waste of time. Football's football. It's a beautiful game. It's competitive.
It's a beautiful game, but look, you know what I mean? It just doesn't seem like real football. Don't get me wrong. Once it gets into World Cup and all that, I'll watch it. But the qualifiers, they just don't do it for me. So
if it's pointless, then would you not bother watching like Crystal Palace Wolves because it's just a mid-table nothing?
to be fair, if I don't own any of the players, it would be a push for me to watch Crystal Palace Wolves. Again, I'm not hating on either side, but as an Arsenal supporter, it doesn't really sort of, there's not much in it for me. Although Wolves are above Arsenal, aren't they, this season? Or close to. Anyway. Okay, let's get on with it. So we got Mounts in midfield, and then followed by Rafinha, who is in a lot of form at the moment. And I'm telling you, every game, it's like he could have scored 2 or 3. I mean, he's still settling in. Like, he is a great player.
Yeah. There's all kind of transfer talk around him as well.
Yeah, United seem to be interested.
Oh, surprise! Yeah, whenever a good player, United are not.
Yeah, United. Yeah, and then they're gonna just either screw it up or whatever. But also, it's like, why are they so determined? It's like, we need a wide right player or a wide left. You don't. That's not what you need. You need a striker and another centre back. It was like, is it Sancho? We're gonna get Sancho, or is it Rafinha? Like, why? We need someone to fill that.
We're going for Haaland, baby. We're going for Haaland. Don't worry, mate.
Yeah, but what you have a tendency to do, you're like me with selecting players. You know the way I get KDB and then he gets really bad? Well, you buy Lukaku, you buy Sanchez, and guess what happens? Within a year, they're gone to Italy. So,
But that Sanchez one was such a daft one. Again, they spent all that money just to stop him going to City.
Yeah.
I don't know who is in charge of the actual... what do you call it? A transfer decision.
Ed Woodward, isn't it? Isn't it Ed Woodward?
Is it actually him? Is it him personally? Because honestly, all he seems to see is shirt sales. That's it. Like, that's the most important reason for buying someone. Not winning leagues, not winning titles, just selling shirts. That can't be the biggest revenue stream.
But I think that's why the supporters trust or supporter fund or whatever they're called, they're kind of against him and they're not a massive fan of him. They don't think he's managing it properly. But anyway, let's move on.
Yeah.
Speaking of United, our next player is Fernandes. Really no introduction. I think everyone has Fernandes by now. So, it is what it is. Probably get a penalty. And then we have KDB. And the reason for this, I guess it was a bit contentious because it's against Leicester. It's probably not the easiest fixture. But I think the reasoning here is that it's a big game for City. KDB has been in form and he seems to be on penalties, although the responsibility could be shared with Gundo. But I do think it's a safe bet. I mean, if they need to win a game this season, it's this one, right? This will really solidify their bid for the.
I think if they win this, if they win this, it's pretty much done. I mean, I think it's
already done, but
it's already done.
It's done.
Yeah. No, it's definitely.
It's Jimmy done. Yeah, it's already Jimmy done, and it's like, and I guess, I suppose it's a couple of. There's still time before the cup final, but I don't know. I think they're going to try and prioritize winning other stuff. I don't know. I'm not. And Leicester, with Maddison back. I don't know. I see what you're saying, and personally, I've been banging the KDB drum all season. I've got him in my personal team because why wouldn't you? He's brilliant. But I just think in the pick of the week, when you can have anyone, I might go with someone else. That's all I'm saying.
This mysterious someone else doesn't seem to materialize when we say, right, who do you want? He's just like, I don't know, someone else, guys. Just I don't know. Anyway, and then our fifth midfielder who's on the bench is Gundo. Again, obvious reasons. If for whatever reason KDB didn't play, I think Gundo coming on would be a good shot. So that's our 5 midfielders.
I mean, I have to say, just again, going back to the KDB thing and with the particular environment, particularly with the news of Aguero moving on to pastures new at the end of the season, Godspeed, we wish him well. It might consolidate the whole style of play that they've been doing a lot this season in the absence of a striker with KDB as the false 9 or the phantom 9. Which means he might be a bit further forward. So just with everything I say going against him, there is that as a positive.
Okay, and then we have up front, we have Antonio, Kane, and Bamford. So Antonio playing Wolves. We had a big discussion. We've selected these 3, but we had a bit of took us a bit of time to kind of finalize these 3, especially towards the Antonio side. We're considering, which is applicable to everyone who's listening as well. DCL is a good option. We're thinking Watkins, if you want to do a little bit of a punt. As Eric mentioned, and as Woody has been bending our ear about, Wilson's back, baby. So think about that.
He's back, baby.
So you've got Antonio against Wolves. I can just see that being a 1 goal, maybe 2 goal, maybe from Antonio maximum. Kane against Newcastle. So yeah, I think that's going to be a rout. It could be
a rout.
Could be a Hattie.
Could also be like he kind of hobbles off the hamstring after 3 minutes.
He has played the last two games, I think, for England, and he's been non-stop. So he might need a bit of a rest, but I doubt Kane would rest him. I think he'd let him play for 60, hopefully score.
You don't think Kane would rest Kane?
Kane would never rest Kane.
Mourinho would rest Kane. But you never know. And then you've got Bamford, who's playing Sheffield United, and Wits, but we have Bamford, and we think he's going to do well. Hopefully,
yeah. I mean, he's still amber, but obviously there's been no pressies because of the internationals and stuff. So that is something to bear in mind. Bamford.
There's the pressy for Bielsa is doing a pressy today, so keep an eye out for that.
Do you remember Bielsa's pressy? He did one a few months ago. And you know the way the journal is always like, so any news, team news, who are you going to field this week or whatever? And he's like, you want to know my team? And he just listed off the 11 players. Journals are like, okay.
Well, I mean, to be fair, it's the same 11. Care, you know? But it's the same 11 every week. It's just, it might be Costa, it might be Harrison. No one else changes, really.
Yeah.
But just with that in mind, because obviously they'll say the pressies are a bit late. So Bamford's still showing here he's injured, even though he played in the pre-break. I don't know what that's about. Because surely
but do you not remember he played and then after 60 minutes he was in too much pain. He had to come off. So I do think it's a long-term injury and they're managing it. You know what I mean?
Okay. All right. Well, there's other people because we also hummed and hard at the back between Reguilon and Davis at Spurs because there's no update there. Obviously Son, though he was touch and go whether he'd be fit before the international break. So just keep an eye on the pressies and injuries because that might change the complexion of stuff.
And then, then captain's choice.
I mean, to me it's obvious, but I want to hear some punts here. Anyone have some obvious punty choices?
I mean, for me, Rafinha again. He did well for us last game week. It's against Sheffield United. Any Leeds player really.
Yeah, I think the Leeds. Yeah,
I feel like if we do Bamfords, Wits will have a hearters. You know what I mean? I care for my mate Wits too much to do it.
I mean, even someone like Dallas, like I'm pretty sure that's a free. And if he pops up with an assist and 3 BPs, all of a sudden you're laughing. So, I mean, if you're gonna go differentially, I mean, I'm gonna put this out here in my personal team. It's not that controversial, but I'm going for Alonso because I think Chilwell's been away on international duty. He's played 2 of the 3 games. He just got back, and he's already on the old Tuchel tombola. So I reckon Alonso's got a good chance to start, and I'm backing him for a haul, double figures.
Do you have like a trawl in your cupboard or something?
Or a baby? Could be a baby.
It's a baby troll, actually.
No, because I know for a fact Woody doesn't have a baby unless you count his 2 dogs who he's a proud daddy of.
Proud daddy. And hey, actually, seeing it while we've got a minute or two, how's so Eric is a newly christened proud daddy? How long have you had your best friend?
It's been 11 days. I mean, who's counting? But it's been 11 days, and we're pretty tight. I'm not gonna lie, we're pretty tight.
Yeah. How's it going generally?
Yeah, it's going well. Yeah, he's a cockapoo. He's doing well. He's still a baby, but he's coming along. He likes his FPL.
He does.
And you know what? He doesn't cry in the background. That's what I like about him.
I mean, there's nothing I can do about it. There's a baby in my house. What?
Right. Should we wrap up then? Okay. Captain, I'm gonna put it out there. For me, it's Kane. It's Kane every day this week. But what do you guys think?
Woody, should we do Dallas?
Should we go differentially?
Let's go Dallas.
You know what? I think we should because we always do the safe old bet.
Yeah. Dallas, mate.
You know what? Defenders don't get enough love on this show, and to be fair, I captained Dunk last week in the blank game week, and it worked out reasonably well. 6 points. Should have had more, but go on. Let's do Dallas. I reckon that's guaranteed 6 points, and I reckon this could be a 5-0.
All right, are you guys at least going to award me a Vicey Kane, yeah?
Yeah.
I'll give you Vicey Kane.
All right, there it is. I'm going to save that now.
Save that bad boy.
Done. Right, so we got Dallas captain, okay? This is the Punty podcast for all those who don't know it, okay?
Yeah. So, all right, so I think a nice way to finish there, and who would be your, obviously, maybe not in our team because they're not that punty, but who would be your punt of the week?
This is the thing. This is what I wanted to raise, guys, is that we haven't spoken about Lingard. Now,
it's true.
Some people might be like, "What's the situation with that?" You know.
Agreed.
Because it's Wolves.
Right. I have no reason. That's the honest truth. We have absolutely no justification for this.
I'm just not sure why you're only bringing it up now. To be honest, that's the only question I have. Is why didn't you mention it at the start? But no, you raise a good point, and I think it's similar to my reservations about KDB, as I don't think it's the best week. I think Wolves at home, they're pretty tight at the back. Yeah, I'm not saying you won't get involved, but I just think like him or Rafinha, you're going to go Rafinha. Him or Fernandes, you'll have Fernandes. Personally, I think actually maybe someone like Jay Lings instead of KDB, but then and also Jay Lings seems to be on Penos now, even though he fluffed it.
Yeah, I mean he's a consideration. I think if you've got Lingard, definitely keep him. If you're considering him, get him in. How are the fixtures for West Ham, actually? Upcoming fixtures?
I mean, it doesn't seem to matter. But West Ham don't seem to... They just steamroll anyone, don't they? I mean, they've literally beaten most of the big teams this season.
Well, they've got Wolves, Leicester, Newcastle, Chelsea. They're not the easiest, but they're not the worst either, to be honest.
I mean Newcastle, it's hot and cold, isn't it? It's hot and cold, those fixtures.
Yeah.
I would say if West Ham beat Wolves 3-0, that would not be a big shock. I don't think everyone would be like, oh my God, shock result. I think everyone, it's just Moisey at it again, you know?
Yeah, true. But then in the same breath, if it was 0-0, I think anybody would be surprised by that either. Whereas if Leeds Sheffield United is 0-0, I think everybody would be surprised.
Yeah. Any other ones?
All right, well, look. I had one, and Woodie's going to love this. Bit of Wilson.
No, honestly, you're just stealing the thunder out of my mouth. I'm serious. Wilson, if he's back, when he's on the pitch, he's dangerous. He's just not on the pitch very often. I mean, maybe this week, because he's just come back, might be a little bit limpy and sore. Again, wait for the pressies. But no, that's not a bad shout.
Another one who's back is Grealish.
It's true. Grealish is back.
Or should be back anyway, from what I understand, because he was already training before the international break. He didn't go with England, right? So he's just been recovering.
And Fulham is a good fixture for him to get back in, to find his feet again, which I think will have good. It's what's the word? He'll bring up the performances of guys like Watkins, Target, Traore, one of the many Traores.
Which one? No one knows. Right. Should we wrap this thing up? Because I think we're all kind of looking forward to getting back to the Premier League, getting things going. This is probably the most exciting time of the season, FPL-wise, in some ways, because it's getting pretty tight. Less exciting in the actual Premier League, given that Man City are clearly running away with it. Although I think everyone would love Leicester to beat them, so let's kind of hope for that anyway.
Exactly.
Yeah, and also, and again, speaking, that's the thing with the international break, people coming back from injury and stuff. Maddison, and what effect is that going to have on Iheanacho if you do still have Iheanacho in your team, if you got him in? So that's one to watch. Obviously, Barnes is still out, but it's another one to watch.
All right, guys. Well, thanks for joining us, and we will be back as always next week before the game week. So best of luck to everyone, and
All right.
See you soon.
Yeah,
and,
cheers. Bye.
Apologize for the noise.
the drilling.
Various levels of noise.
Yeah.
And just the podcast, just the noise.
All right. See you later.